Live show 97.9. Yep, this is what they all been waiting for. My phone's been blowing up all day today. That's what I gotta get Hewett on here in order for my phone to be going off the chain like that. It's amazing, man. How has that effect on people? Everybody know me now, man. It's amazing. Listen, I hope everybody had a blessed day today. I just been on the cloud. Well, I've been on the cloud for about a week and a half now. I'm not gonna lie. Today is a very special day for me. This one's personal. You know what I'm saying? It's not all the time that you get an opportunity to chat with one of your favorite artists in this entertainment business that's been blessing the world for years with an amazing voice, man. Amazing voice. Like I said, this guy's a king amongst kings. I'm not gonna lie, in this entertainment business. Legendary is what we're talking about, because when we're talking about legends, if you're not mentioning this guy's name, I have a major problem with that. And I'm gonna come and see you personally because he's top 5, definitely. I'm talking about Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, lead vocalist of Grammy winning R&B group Shalamar. I'm talking about the one, the only, Mr. Howard Hewett.
What's up, man? How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing. Listen, I can't stop smiling, man. I'm so happy right now. I'm just so honored, and I have to say thank you very, very much from me and my entire team. Shout out to Grown and Sexy Music for she sponsored this program, and thank you so much for allowing us this amazing opportunity to get some of your time today.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, man. My honor, definitely.
Now I gotta ask you, man. Now, because I don't know if you have found the fountain of youth. But if you have, can you share the secret of? Because I'm saying you don't age, brother.
Man, you see all this gray right here, Wood. Like I said, it used to be salt and pepper, but there's a little bit more salt than pepper now. You know, you know what it is, though, man. It's like it's about. I was talking to a partner of mine today that I've known for years and years and years. Right. Even before Shalamar, and he reminded me. He called me like about 10 years or so ago, and he said, "Man, you remember what you told me?" He said, "I called you." He said he had called me about this one cat that was always into some drama and stuff. He said, "Man," he said, "You remember you told me?" He told me. He said, "Man, I am not into no drama. I don't like drama. I don't like stress, you know."
Right.
And like sometimes stress can come up on you, but you got to be able to like recognize it. You dig? And recognize it so you can eliminate it immediately. You know, and so that's I think that's one of the most important things. And always having a good woman. I don't have a woman yet right now in my life, but it's always good to have.
Wait, now, Howard. I just can't. We can't just run past that now. We got, because that's kind of unbelievable. Now I'm talking about you've been the heartthrob and still the heartthrob for years. Okay, you've been carrying the torch for years now. Let's not play games. My mom is in the hospital bed right now. Called me this morning and said, "You make sure you tell Howard that I said hello." This woman is in the hospital, man.
Man, like I said, I hope that I'll tell her to get better real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, let's get this thing started. We got a lot of people that's on right now. I would like to acknowledge the ones that's showing up to the party early. To show my special guest so much love. You're getting so much love, my brother, all day long. Shout out to Sunshine. Shout out to Leanne Richie Strong. Shout out to Debbie Ula.
No. The way you say Debbie's name is Debbie Reynolds Ula.
Ooh la, Debbie Reynolds. Shout out to Debbie Reynolds. Ooh la, ooh la. Shout out to Tammy Young. Shout out to Melody M. White. Shout out to Sheila Baker. Shout out to, let's see who else we got on here. Shout out to Tammy Young. And that's it for now. A lot of people are still going to be jumping on. Thank y'all so much for showing my special guest so much love. Now, we got a lot to talk about here now. I mean, over this voluptuous career of yours and still going, man. You like the Energizer Bunny, still going.
Still going.
It's just, it's really, really amazing to just, you know, see you still here with us, still looking amazing and still singing the same, man.
Thank you, man. Thank God. You know, it's like I always say, excuse me, I've been in this business since I was 10 years old. I mean, literally in this business. And I really, you know, I didn't get in here just to make, you know, one song or two songs or whatever, and then disappear. This is my career. This is what I do. This is what I've done since since I was a kid. So, you know, I thank God, you know, every day for the gift of voice that He's given me, and in turn I had to learn how to, you know, respect it and how to maintain it, and like, you know, so yeah, that's just what I do, man.
Do you think with having that type of mentality coming into the business, do you think that attributed to you know, the longevity and the way that you're still being able to maintain your brand for this duration of this time like this?
I think the mindset the mindset had a lot to do with it. You know, I mean, I remember when I first got with Shalamar and, you know, started recording and the whole thing, and but then, you know, I was watching Leon Silvers and the way that he worked. That was our producer,
right?
And you know, I had never been. That Shalamar was my first situation as far as like recording is concerned.
Right.
So you know, I would watch Leon and watch how he produced and watch his crew. You know, the people that he had writing from, like Will Shelby and Kevin Spencer and all those guys. But then I would also really make it a point, you know, early in my career to venture out, you know, as far as that's concerned, like working with Stanley Clark and George Duke and Quincy Jones and a whole bunch of other people. That was really, really important to me because, you know, it was like learning how to broaden yourself out, you know, and not just be linear, you know, not just here, you know, you're here and you're there and you're over here and you're over there. So it was real important. It was really important.
Absolutely. Thank you for breaking it down like that too, because, you know, I always wondered about that because, you know, it's some like yourself that have learned how to navigate in this entertainment business and, you know, survive and stay out of the way. And I think that you've mastered that, you know, because you don't hear anything about you. You may have heard some things in the earlier years or whatever, you know, but at the same time, you know, it's been nothing but greatness and nothing but achieving and still delivering and blessing the world. Like I said, with this amazing music that you create.
You know, it's important. It was important for me to understand too in the very beginning. Excuse me, and especially as I started, you know, into the recording situation and dealing that, you know, this is what I had to give it up for. I had to give it up to. This is God's career. This is God's. This is His career. This
Absolutely.
is, you know, this is His situation. And you know, I from the very beginning when I first started out, that's where I started out in the whole gospel situation. Kind of went off to the left a little bit, you know, as we all do.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
the kid, you know, is experimenting and exploring things, you know, but then it's like really realizing that, you know, this is his career, and leaving it in his hands.
Right.
And you know, and like doing just me being the mouthpiece for his career, and to, you know, then realize that, you know, because when you do that, uh then, you know, you understand. Like people say, when I tell people, well, I'm leaving it in God's hands, and then they say, well, you know, you gotta like, you know, have act, you gotta, you know, do something. You can't just leave it in his hands and you know, kick back. But
Right.
see, one of the things that's one of the most active situations, the most active actions I can take. Because when I say I'm leaving it in his hands, I mean that I'm leaving it in his hands and realizing that my steps, my decisions, my choices, everything that I make in my career and in my personal life are guided by Holy Spirit, guided by God. And so when I say I'm leaving something in God's hands, that means you can believe that means I'm getting ready to make some moves.
Right.
Because I can make those moves really clearly and concisely, because I know that, you know, this is guided. I'm being guided by God, Christ, the Holy Spirit.
Right. Amen on that. That's real. And you can't go wrong with you know, with really truly wholeheartedly trusting that and having faith and really turning the wheel over, not trying to hold it in a little bit too, but just really letting the wheel go and trusting that, you know what I mean? I definitely understand that. Now I want to jump in the DeLorean. I want you to jump in the DeLorean with me, Howard, and let's go back in time a little bit now, my brother. I'm Doc, you Marty, and we gonna go back in time, and because I mean, man, you like I said, your career has and still it's just so amazing, and it's just really a blessing. Now from Akron, Ohio, and I love the way you tell that story about moving to Los Angeles with a couple of dollars, and I love that, you know. But a lot of people don't know that that's real. Can we start there? With you know, did you move there with the dream of making it big in the business, or what was the move about?
Well, when you say the dream, that's why I really kind of, because this is all I've ever done. I've never done anything else. I had a couple little bouts with insanity. I went to the Air Force for a minute, you know.
Okay.
I call it my bout with insanity. A lot of people don't know that, you know, but I was supposed to do like my 4 years in there, but, you know, did 10 months, 11 days, and 4 hours, you know. But you know, I mean, I served the time, honorable discharge, full benefits, everything. But and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that little period of time really meant in my life. Besides the fact that, you know, you have the GI Bill, you have all that kind of stuff, you know, the benefits of it. But you know, there had to be some kind of thing that was just going in the heart and spirit and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I that's what. So when I moved out here, I basically moved. This is what I was going to do. You know, it's just in some way, somehow, or whatever. You know, I mean, I touched down at LAX. Like I said, I was about 20 years old. Just turned about 20 years old, and I had like $34 in my pocket when I touched down. And my cousin, who's a year older than me, he picks me up at the airport, right? And like, you know, it was just for about almost a year, it was just me and him, you know, and like hustling, you know, and in the meantime, I had started a group at Maverick's flat, you know, here it was a show group called Beverly Hills.
Right.
Yeah, we eventually went overseas, but I mean, I came out here to do that. That's what I was, and I came out here to do that because that's all I knew how to do anyway. So that's all.
Well, hold up now. I got to challenge you on that now, Howard. Now, because you was good in football too. That's what I heard. Now, you were asked. What do you want to do? Do you want to do this football thing, or do you want to do this music or whatever it was?
I know. I do this music thing. This music thing, like he said, it was my coach, Coach Gino, great big brother, great big black dude. And so I'm sitting there. I was like little as Pee Wee. This is like Pee Wee football, right?
Yeah.
And man, so I had to leave. Because my family was the Hewett singers. We had the gospel group,
right?
And so we were doing like a couple shows upper state New York or somewhere around there, up through Canada. So I was going to have to miss about 4 or 5 days of school and all that in order to do that. And missing 4 or 5 days of school meant that I would have to miss about 3 or 4 days of practice, football.
Exactly.
So like I told, I told Coach Gino what the deal was. And he says, well, Hewett, you're going to have to either figure out whether you're going to play football or you're going to do this music thing,
Right.
I took my helmet off, gave it to him, took my shoulder pads off and gave it to him. I said, this is what I got to do. This is my family,
Right. Now, look. Debbie Ula said, thank goodness he picked that music thing. Absolutely, Debbie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you're in LA, rolling around with your cousin, getting your hustle on. Y'all just trying to make ends meet. Let's go from there.
It's like it's so funny, man, because like my cousin, even today, when I see my cousin, he's still living out here. When I see him, we have to laugh for about 10, 15 minutes before we can have a decent conversation. Because we start remembering all the crazy, we did some crazy stuff. Right. But in the meantime, I was rehearsing with this group. I went down to a friend of mine was playing for this group called Love Machine. It was a show group, seven beautiful women, man. And you remember Kathy Bradley? She was the first black model on The Price is Right. And she played Miss Jackson or something, whatever. In Friday, remember the lady? Yeah. Whatever her name was in. Yeah, Miss. Yeah. So she played that, but she was in Love Machine also. And so like, it was like we put it together. This cat named John Daniels owned Mavericks, and his brother Alonzo Daniels. And they put together show groups, and then once the groups were in shape enough to tour, they also had a booking agency called Maverick International. And all their bookings and stuff were overseas. Everything was overseas. The only time with Beverly Hills, the only time I played here in the States was when we would play at Mavericks, because Mavericks, that was a club on the weekends. Right. And then on the weekdays, they had offices upstairs and rehearsal rooms upstairs. Okay. So, the club would be open on the weekend. They had some of the most beautiful, amazing women I've ever seen in my life would come through there, every weekend. Right. And then you look out in the audience at Mavericks, and at any time you might see Shaka Khan sitting out there. Oh man! You might see, Lionel Richie. I met Ralph Johnson from Earth, Wind and Fire down there, right? And Richard Pryor used to hang there, and like I said, all these women. So like we rehearsed for about that group for about almost a year before it was in shape enough to tour. I quit a couple times, because because my cousin sings too. So it was both him and I that were, when we started the group at first.
Right.
And then my cousin something happened, and John Daniels fired him or something like that. I can't even remember what happened. And then because, cousin, that's my cousin. That's
I'm rolling too. I'm rolling too.
I quit too. Then about a week later, I'm sitting there. Why did I quit? I don't know. I didn't do nothing right. So,
right.
So like ended up going back and stuff, and finally got the group in shape enough to tour, and our first gig was in Helsinki, Finland. Actually, we went over there. It was December of '77, actually, because then we played there for about 2 weeks. And then the next place we were playing was in Geneva, Switzerland. Wow. And like, I remember bringing 1978 in Geneva, Switzerland. Right. And then we went on to Benidorm, Spain, Saint-Tropez, France, all over the place. I was making like $250, $300 a week, but right. But I had no responsibilities, man. I had no kids, had no wife, no kids, no nothing.
You living a dream, Howard. You was living a dream, brother.
You know what? And I was about 22 years old.
Oh man.
Man, I was having a ball. I was having a ball. And like I said, I'm one of the things that I learned, because when I first went over there, Alonzo Daniels, I remember Alonzo, John Daniels' brother. I never had an older brother. All my sisters are older than me. I have 4 sisters. They're all older than me. Right. And then I have one younger brother. He's like 3 years younger than me. So I never had an older brother. So a lot of my friends that I gravitated toward throughout all my life has always been, cats that are a few years older than me. So right. So I that older brother situation. So Alonzo was that cat, who was like an older brother to me, and before we left, about a week or two before we left for Helsinki, I remember he took me over to the May Company, right? And he got me a 3-piece suit.
What?
And because getting ready to go into cold weather and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he handed me the suit. He said, "This is the way you should present yourself." And then he handed me a book called As a Man Thinketh. And he said, "This is the way you should start conditioning your mind." And the book was only about, it was one of those small books that you could sit in one sitting and read it. Mm-hmm. And I remember on the plane going to, because we had to go into London first. We had to go into Heathrow Airport first, and we were going to stay in London for about 4 days before we would move on to Helsinki, Finland. Right. And I remember sitting and on the plane on the way over there, and I was reading this book, and there was a lot of great stuff in it, a lot of good stuff, but there was one thing in this book that stuck in my mind forever. Right. Even now, it was one of those basic things that I read that I basically, guided my life, guided me through my life. And I'm kind of paraphrasing it right now, but it basically said, you must learn how to deal with circumstances rather than let circumstances deal with you.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
It was deep. It was deep. And especially for what I was getting ready to go into. Like I said, I mean, I stayed overseas the first tour for about 9 months or so, and like I said, making $250. About at that time, I was making $250 a week, and right. Like, just, there were a couple times that the cat would be late coming to pay us and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
My thing was like, hey, I'm in Saint-Tropez, France.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit up here and complain in the hotel room and sit up here complain about this cat not here to pay me right now. I'm going to get out and check out Saint-Tropez, France. I'm going to get out and check out Benidorm, Spain, or Geneva, Switzerland. I'm getting, Oslo, Norway. I'm getting out to check it. So, you know, it was really a great foundation, a great part of, you know, part of my foundation as I was going along.
Now, Joanne
Joanne,
is on here. That's your sister. She's on here. Hey, Joanne, how you doing?
What's up?
Now, you know, you brought up John and Alonzo. I want to ask you, you know, what does John and Alonzo Daniels mean to you? Because, you know, when you met them, what was that like?
Well, when I first went down there, because I guess I had been out here about 2 or 3 weeks at that time, about 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
And a cat named T. Tucker, who played bass for this group called Revelation Funk. And they were from Ohio, from Akron. And then they came out here to California, and then they split up, you know, after they were here for about a year or something like that. They split up. But the one of the things about Revelation Funk was that they had a keyboard player that played keyboards and sang background because he didn't consider himself a lead singer.
Right.
And that was James Ingram. You know what I'm saying?
Bad brother right now, man. That's a bad brother though.
And man, so I met James when I was, you know, 15 years old. So
right.
back in Akron. And my group back in Akron was called Life. We spelled it Lyfe. So Life Jennings ain't the first one to spell it like.
Right, Life. You're not the first, Life.
not the first. We spelled it Life Band and Show back in the day.
Right.
And so we were like Revelation Funk proteges, because they were all about 4 or 5 years older than us and stuff. But everything they did, we were like, we're not worthy, you know. And but James didn't sing lead, but they had a lead singer, this cat named Bernard Lawson, that to this day could sing me and James under the table.
Come on now, Howard. Now,
no, seriously, man, this dude is bad. He is still bad. Wow. That whole natural going into the false thing, he had it down. So, like, you know, but Alonzo, when, as far as Mavericks was concerned, when we went, I was here for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I got in touch with T Tucker. T was playing bass for Love Machine, right?
Okay.
And so, like, I called him. I said, "Hey, T, man, I'm in town, blah 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 blah." And he says, "Man, come on down to Maverick's flat." They were rehearsing at Maverick's flat because they were going to do a show that night. It was a Friday night, I remember, because it was the night that the club was open, and they were rehearsing because they were going to do a show that night at Maverick's, and it was a showcase for Tom Jones.
Right.
Tom Jones was coming down there to check them out, so that, you know, to consider them, you know, opening up shows for him on his upcoming tour. So we went down there. My cousin and I went down there, and we were sitting there. We were looking at these women. They were beautiful, doing this choreography. Like I said, there's like 7 of them, you know. And so, like, we're sitting there, and then John Daniels comes in.
Yeah.
And John Daniels, to sum up John Daniels' personality, he used to have a little plaque on his desk, you know, upstairs at Mavericks. Yeah. And on the little plaque, it said, "It's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am."
Wow.
That sums up John Daniels right there. Great guy.
Yeah.
Like, little ego, you know what I'm saying? And remember Black Shampoo, all those black exploitation movies called Black. They had one out called Black Shampoo and something else. I forget. That was John. John starred in those movies, and he owned Mavericks, and then he put together all this stuff. So, so he walks in, and my cousin and I are sitting there, and he's looking at us like, "Who's this in my rehearsal?" You know, like this. Yeah. And he was like, he said, "No, you guys gotta leave. This is a closed rehearsal." And then the girls were like, no, let them stay, right? So we stayed, and that day after they rehearsed, John and I and my cousin, we started talking, and John said, "Man, I want to, I've been thinking about putting together a show group, real classy show group." He said, he said, "I want to call it Beverly Hills." And like, of course, me and my cousin were like, "Cool, that's cool."
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So like then that was the start of that whole thing. And it's the cat that I was talking to Dave that I told you I knew for years. He worked at Mavericks, and that's we were basically talking about stuff a lot as far as that's concerned today. So it was really funny that we broached that that subject right now.
Wow, man. This is just truly amazing, man, just hearing these stories. Now you met Jeffrey and Jody. You met them before Shalamar, right?
I met them at Mavericks.
Okay.
Your Mavericks, like I said, Mavericks was open on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday too. And you see all the people, but all the Soul Train people used to come down. All the Soul Train dancers and stuff used to come down there also, because it was a real homey type of atmosphere. So they could jump on top of a counter or on top of a table and dance and do their pop locking thing and all that. So that's where I first met Jeffrey and Jody, but I used to watch them. What's funny, Kano, it's like Kano, right? Kano, yeah, Kano, right. Okay, I want to say it right. I don't want to say it. But what was like funny, Kano, was when before I left Ohio, just like everybody else, every other black family almost in America,
right?
Saturday afternoon at 12.
You already know, Howard.
I'm right there.
Old Train, baby. You know that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Right there, watching Soul Train. Seeing who's on there, watching the ladies dancing, and all that kind of stuff. And I used to see Jeffrey and Jody. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know their names or anything, but I used to say, "Wow, they got some nice routines and blah 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 blah."
Right.
And then going to coming out here to LA. I mean, I hooked up. I connected with Mavericks, with the people in Mavericks. Like I said, 3 or 4 weeks after I got out here.
Right.
So Mavericks became like almost like my home, my second home.
Right.
And so like Jeffrey, I met them down there. They used to come to and watch the show when I would do a show with Beverly Hills. And she just never get tired of hearing these stories. Yeah, but so like that's when I first met Jeffrey and Jody, and when I had gone overseas with the group with Beverly Hills the first time, like I said, we stayed over there about 9 months, nine and a half months, somewhere around there, and then I came home for a month.
Right.
And during that month, Jeffrey had approached me about joining Shalamar then,
Really?
Yeah, but I was obligated to go back overseas with Beverly Hills, and at that time they had, I think they had just, they were getting ready to to record, Take That to the Bank, if I'm not mistaken. I know they had a song, Uptown Festival. That was their first single, and so like I'm looking, somebody's running up to my door. They say, I see you. But like so I met them there. They used to come to the show, see the shows all the time when, like I said, with Beverly Hills, we would do a show when we had a show that we wanted to try on an audience. We would do that,
So now, that right there is incredible, because you had already seeing them on Soul Train and all of that, and then them being in the Shalamar group already, and then you coming back. Well, you got the call over there about the situation of joining the group.
No, I got the call. Actually, I came back, like I said, when we went back over, I went back over, and stayed over there for about, I think it was 4 months or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This tour was the second tour with Beverly Hills over there was about 4 months. And then I came back home and like, because I met my, I had met my future. She ended up being like the mother of my 2 older daughters.
Okay.
And also my first wife, right?
Right.
But we met in that month that I was home. That's when we met. A partner of mine said, "Hey man, let's go down. Isaac Kennedy, Leon Isaac Kennedy is shooting a movie called Penitentiary, you know."
Oh
and
yeah, I remember that movie.
yeah. He said, and they want some extras in there. They want to do some extras. You want to go down and hang? You know, I said, yeah, man, I'll go down and hang. You know, that's cool. That'd be great. So we went down there and we hung. We did the extra thing, and that's where I met my first wife. You know,
Right.
and we stayed in contact for the 4 months when I first came while I was overseas for the second tour. We stayed in contact, writing, calling every once in a while. And then when I came back, we moved in together, right? And so like, you know, we were it was about maybe 6 months after. And so like, you know, she works for Don Cornelius at the Soul Train dance studios, right?
Wow.
And so
this is getting amazing, man.
Yeah.
You're killing me, man. Like, wow.
I'm sitting there trying to remember. I'm writing my book. I'm writing a book actually, for real.
Okay.
And so I'm putting all this stuff in perspective, you know, as far as timeline and stuff. But she worked for Don at the Soul Train Dance Studios, and so I was kind of kicking around doing a bunch of stuff. I had connected with this cat Jeffrey Bowen, who was a producer over at Motown, and so like he was doing an album on Eddie Hazel. Used to play guitar for Parliament Funkadelic, right?
Yeah.
There's a tune called Maggot Brain from a long time ago. It's just a whole guitar situation, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just beautiful. And so like that was Eddie Hazel. And so he was producing an album on Eddie. And I went in, this girl, Tammy Gibson, got in touch with me about going in and doing some backgrounds for the sessions that they were doing. So I go in, and then Jeffrey Bowen says he digs. He said, "I love your voice. You know, I want you to be a part of the group. It's going to be a self-contained situation." He said, "We can take our time, work on contracts as far as Motown's concerned." He says, "But I can get you into the union like tomorrow, you know, get in tomorrow." So like I said, cool. And union, you're making like grand theft money, because, you know, if I'm not a contracted artist, then I have to get paid from the time that I walk in the studio till the time I walk out of the studio.
Really?
Yeah. If you're a contracted artist, then you have, I forget how many hours you can only get paid up to a certain amount of hours. But if you're not contracted, which I wasn't contracted at the time, you know, I got paid from the time. And Jeffrey Bowen would book time for 8 o'clock in the evening. He wouldn't show up till about 12. and then we would work until about, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Right.
So
you was taking up.
Man, it was like it was like serious. And then, you know, as time went on, I worked with them on that project for about 2 months or so, 2 or 3 months, maybe somewhere around there. And then it started, you know, things started getting kind of shaky as far as like the money was concerned.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, what money wasn't reflecting, you know, the work that we were doing in the studio.
Right.
And we used to call it, back in the day, we used to call it, you know, you're dealing with that Motown runaround. You know what I'm saying? And so like, you know, it's after a few weeks of that type of thing, I called Jeffrey Bowen. I said, "Hey, you know, let's have a meeting. You know, I want to talk about some things." So he said, cool. I went up to the Motown building. You know, that time they were on Sunset and Argyle up in Hollywood. And they had the top 3 floors, 17, 16, 15. So I was on the 15th floor in this office, and I'm sitting there like, you know, just my sister says, love the beard. Hey. I might cut it. I don't know. but like
I thought Joanne was talking about my beard for a minute. I was.
She might have been talking about you. So I'm in the office, you know, talking about you know, blah 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 blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the phone rings, right? And it was me and Jeffrey Bowen and his co-producer, this cat named Angelo Bourne, right?
Right.
So the phone rings, Angelo answers the phone, and he looks at me, he says, it's for you, right?
What?
And I said, it's for me. I said, if it's my lady, you know, because I had dropped her off at the dance studio, at the Soul Train Dance Studios.
Right.
Told her I'm going for a meeting in Motown. So she's the only one knew where I was, right?
Right.
And so like he says, it's for you. And I said, well, if it's my lady, you know, tell her I'll call her back when I get done, you know, with this meeting. And he said, well, it's not a lady, it's a guy. And this is back before cell phones, right?
Yeah.
So, and you could if it was long distance, you could hear the crackling and stuff.
Yeah.
So he says it's a guy, and it sounds like it's long distance, right?
Right.
So I get on the phone, and it's Jeffrey Daniel from Shalamar.
What?
Right? So he had, you know, they were in New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They had Take That to the Bank was out.
Right.
Know?
Right.
So they were in the middle of a promotional tour for Take That to the Bank. Kind of got into whatever it was as far as like between them and the guy Gerald Brown, who sang Take That to the Bank on the record. And and like, you know, so Gerald says, well, when y'all see it my way, give me a call. And he jumps on a plane and he leaves in the middle of this promotion.
Are you serious?
Seriously, I hate to say it, you know, but that's what went down, right?
Wow.
But and so like, you know, Jeffrey knew that, you know, my lady worked for Don. So he calls Rainey. My lady's name is Rainey, Big Rainey. We call her Big Rainey. And so he calls Rainey at Don Cornelius at the dance studios. She tells him that I'm at the Motown building. That's still to this day, Jeffrey won't tell me how he got right into that office. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But he got connected right into the office. And like he said, man, he said, we want to offer you an equal position as lead singer in the group. And he said, started talking about something. He said, you're at the Motown building, right? I said, yeah. He says, well, Solar Records at that time, their offices, he says, Solar Records offices are in that same building down on the 9th floor, right? So he said, Dick Griffey, you know, who was head of Solar Records.
Yeah.
Dick and Don are the ones that put Shalamar together, you know, initially, Don Cornelius and Dick Griffey. And so he said, Dick Griffey is, you know, waiting for you to, you know, contact him and he'll reiterate what I said and stuff. And so like we talked a little while longer than I got off the phone, right?
Right.
And so I'm sitting there in that meeting with Jeffrey Bowen and Angelo Bourne. And I told them what the deal was. I said, that was this guy, Jeffrey Daniel, that you know, sings with Shalamar. You know, they got this song out called Take That to the Bank and blah, 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 blah. And they're offering me an equal position in the group as lead singer.
Right.
And Angelo, I've seen Angelo once or twice when I've gone to Detroit through the years. He has a little different story, but this is the story.
Yeah.
Angelo says, man, Shalamar never be nothing but a fly-by-night disco group, you know, and you don't want to get involved with them blah, 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 blah. You know, Motown, Solar will never be a Motown and all that kind of stuff. So then Jeffrey Bowen started talking. So I kind of sat back, you know, and I listened, you know, and when they got done, I said, well, I said, my car is parked on the street. I need to go put some money in the meter.
You ain't hit him with that one now, Howard.
I left. I went straight down to the ninth floor, right? Got to Dick Griffey. You know, he reiterated, you know, what Jeffrey had said. I told him that, you know, I would get back with him the next morning because I had to give these people upstairs, you know, a chance to rectify themselves. Because even though I didn't have contracts, we hadn't signed contracts, it was still my word. One thing you find out about in this business real quick, that, you know, your word is worth more than a whole lot of stuff, man. So like I called, you know, called back upstairs. I went home and I called upstairs. I called back to Motown and I said, look, you know, if you guys want to rectify this, then call me. You know, I'll be home all night.
Right.
Nobody called. So the next morning I called Dick and I went over to his house and watched a videotape of a Shalamar show, right?
Right.
And so, like, you know, I'm sitting there, videotape goes off, and Dick says, well, sing something. You know, Jeffrey and Jody say you're a great singer, sing something. I said, just sing something right now? No, you know, a cappella? He said, yeah.
Right.
I said to myself, I said, well, Lord, you know, me and you, right?
Right.
And I broke into Feel the Fire by Peebo Bryson, right? And got through the first verse, half the hook. Dick says, okay, I'll be right back, right?
Right.
He goes upstairs, he comes back down. He said, goes in one pocket. He said, here's some cash. You know, he gave me like $500 cash, right? And so, yeah, so he said, some cash, you know, leave some money, pay some bills with your old lady. And he goes out, goes in the other pocket and said, here's an airline ticket. And that was back before 9/11. That was back when I could ride on your ticket or you could ride on my ticket. Didn't have to have a specific name.
No, you got a ticket.
All that. He said, here's the airline ticket. He said, you got to catch the red eye out tonight. You know, meet the group in New Jersey tomorrow, which that was Sunday, right? He said, meet the group in New Jersey tomorrow. You got to rehearse the lip sync and the choreography to take that to the bank. He said, because Monday, the next day, Monday, you got a TV show to do. And that's just how it went down. It went down. Friday, I got the offer. Saturday, I went over there, did a little lightweight audition, whatever. Saturday night, I was on the red eye, met Jeffrey and Jody in New Jersey. They moved from New York to New Jersey. And we rehearsed all day on Sunday. And then Monday, we did this little local dance show in Paterson, New Jersey. And the rest is history, as they say. But I really, that story is really pertinent, I think, when I talk to young people. And they you know, they're like gung-ho about getting into the business. And I tell them, I said, well, what do you think the most important thing is? They say, well, you got to be in the right place at the right time. I said, yeah, you know, that's important. It's important to be in the right place at the right time. I said, but there's a piece of that saying that people don't really grasp onto and they don't go into, but it's the most important part of that is that you got to be in the right place, the right time, and be prepared. You know,
absolutely.
If you're not prepared, you know, because I've been singing since I was 10 years old. Every time I'd hit the stage when the gospel group, Life, Beverly Hills, all that stuff. You know, I was hitting the stage. I didn't know what I was preparing for. I was just being prepared. And so, you know, but that's important. Right place, right time, and be prepared.
Being prepared. Yeah. Right. That's amazing how. Now, my question is this though. You know, all of that happened, you know, that fast like that. But then what was the vibe like when Jeffrey and Jody, were they in the knowing that you were coming out, or was it all a surprise to them too? Like, hey, look, this is how I was gonna be lead singer. You guys fall back and do y'all thing or whatever. How was the chemistry when y'all connected on that level?
Well, you remember what I said. Jeffrey's the one that called me.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey. So like, yeah, they knew what the deal is. I'm pretty sure once I left Dick's house,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm pretty sure he got on the phone and called them and said, hey, you know, okay, we got Howard, because I understood that they had another cat that they had in mind just in case I said no. You know,
right.
they were gonna, because like I said, they were in the middle of a promotional tour, and Take That to the Bank was doing fairly well. It was doing pretty well. And so like they had to have all their bases covered. But you know, I said yeah, so it was cool.
But you escalated that whole situation. It, to me, you know, I think that it took it to another level, because they were good already. But you know, it's no sense in downplaying the whole situation. I mean, you know, you definitely gifted, you know, and blessed with that voice that you are utilizing. You know, a lot of people have talents and have skills and end up not really using them to the full, you know, the full capacity of what they're blessed with in that space. But you did, and believed in it. Now, you know, we hear a lot of different stories about, you know, friction being amongst the group, as great as you guys was as a unit. You know, was there any, like, you know, because sometimes with groups, and I wanted to ask your opinion on your expert opinion with being in a group and seeing groups, and you know, we see groups that just don't end up making it for whatever reason, and they be great and accomplish so many great things. You know, why do you think it's like that?
Well, you know, for us, I can't really speak for a lot of other groups. Well, actually, I can say one thing as far as groups are concerned. You have grown people, you know,
Right.
like if you have a 4-person group or a 3-person group or a 12-person group, whatever. These are grown people that have different needs in their lives.
Right.
You know, different, and they have different agendas. It's very rare that you can find somebody that really knows, especially you know, us, our people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we always want to be able to like, you know, we got to get along. We gotta go and have dinner together. We got to get all that, you know. But business, that's not what business is about. If it gets to a point as far as like business is business, I don't even have to like you in order to do business with you. If you do business the right way. Absolutely. If you do business the right way and take things the way that they're supposed to be taken, we don't need to, you know, we don't need to get together. The only time I need to get together with you is on stage, and when it's time to do your work, right? So, you know, but it's very seldom to find, you know, you know, people who have that like-minded type of situation. And like I said, especially with us, because we are such a family-oriented people, you know. But you know, white groups do it all the time, you know, where they, you know, they don't like each other. The Eagles couldn't stand each other, certain parts of them, you know, but when they got together, you know, it's like,
it's magic when they get on stage and they rocking out, they getting it done.
You know, so that's the way that I am. I mean, I you know, but we didn't really have any friction until the very last part of that whole situation. And that just basically culminated into, you know, people, because we were kids when we got together. You know, we were kids. I was like 23, 24, somewhere about 23 years old, somewhere around there. Jeffrey is, you know, like about a month or 2 months older than I am. Jody's only about 3 years younger than me or so. So we were like kids. But what we had accomplished was amazing. You know,
Absolutely.
number one across the board, pop, black, the whole thing. You know, and then when it culminated overseas and you know, everything that, you know, Jeffrey was. See, Shalamar to me, man, is like, because everybody says, well, you were Shalamar. No, I was the voice of Shalamar.
Right.
I was the voice of Shalamar. When you heard Second Time Around, Make That Move, all that stuff, I was the voice of Shalamar. But Jeffrey was the visual part of Shalamar.
Absolutely.
Jody was the female entity and the visual thing as well as the vocal thing. Me and Joe, the combination of me and Jody's voice was amazing. It has not been duplicated.
No.
You know, like now I'll do Shalamar overseas, you know, with Jeffrey and Carolyn Griffey. Actually, she's Dick Griffey's daughter. But I have always loved Carolyn's voice. I mean, Carolyn has an amazing voice. But you know, the combination of me and Jody's voice was just,
it was magical, man. Like, man.
You know? So like I was, you know, like I say, I was the voice of Shalamar, but Shalamar made the whole entity of Shalamar was made up of three different entities that came together and just exploded, you know.
Right.
And so like, you know, but like I said, as time goes on, you have people that grow into certain things, and you have, you know, everybody they grow up and they have different agendas, different needs, and different things going on in their lives. And at the time, what we needed was a real adult type of entity to come in and say, look, sit down.
Right.
You need to look at this. This is what you've accomplished.
Right.
This is what the deal is. Blah, 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 blah. You know?
Right.
But we didn't have that. It was 3 kids. We were 3 kids trying to deal in a major thing. You know.
Right. You know, now, you know, you guys went, you guys all went on to do amazing things, you know, in a solo space. Now, but was it easy for you? Because, and it probably was, but I still want to ask you, was it easy for you to transition from being in a group to doing the solo thing? Because a lot of people kind of struggle in that area because they get used to having the group doing my part and I'm good, you know what I mean? But when you do the solo thing, it's all you. So was the transition difficult for you in any type of way?
No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't that difficult. It was like, you know, because I remember because Jeffrey and Jody split first. They left first. I think it was in '83. And so, like at that time, I said, you know, I told Dick Griffey, I said, man, Dick, Jeffrey and Jody are gone. You know, they're like my brother and my sister. I know we had whatever, but they're still like my brother and sister. I said, maybe you know, why don't I think about doing, you know, my solo thing now, you know, as far as that's concerned. And his thing was like, well, you know, either, you know, you got 2.5, 3 years left on this contract, you know, so you can either do it, you know, sit around, try and ride the contract out, do nothing, go to court, try and get out of it, you know, or you can leave the country like Jeffrey and Jody did. he said, or you can do another Shalamar album, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I can't just sit around and not do anything, you know, for 2.5, 3 years, definitely, you know, and I hate court, you know, and I'm not gonna go live anywhere but, you know, my family, everybody's here, and kids and stuff. So, you know, so I said, okay, I'm gonna do the Shalamar album, another Shalamar album. So, you know, but so I did that. That's when I brought Mickey Free in, you know, and then we went around the country doing this thing to find the girl for Shalamar. That's when we came up with Delisa Davis, and then we went in and we did the Heartbreak album, and then we went out on the road. We did the album. We went out on the road, and Mickey Free, that's my boy. I mean, that's my boy to this day, you know, and that boy, he kept me laughing that whole time. It was amazing. It was great. We had a ball out there, and I rolled the contract out, and then, you know, there was no need for me to stay there anymore.
Right.
And I'm a big compartmentalizer. You know, I believe in compartmentalizing, you know.
Now break that down for the audience.
See, when you compartmentalize, you live your life, you're living parts of your life, and you put certain things in certain compartments.
Right.
You know? And you put, you know, I have my ex-wives, each of them have their own compartment, you know, and the group, you know, the Beverly Hills group, the Hewett singers, the Life band, and all that.
Right.
Everybody has their own compartment. I've seen some of the simplest of lives, you know, people who have simple lives that try and live their life all at one time. And you can't do that. It's like, you know, that's like, you need to learn how to take things and put them here, take things and put them there, and put them there, lock them up. They're still there.
Right.
You know, but they're there, and they're there whenever you want to take them down and check them out. So, you know, I put, you know, Shalamar, when I came to the end of that the contract, I put Shalamar in their own compartment, and then I started on to Howard Hewett, you know, and so like the transition wasn't difficult really at all. Again, I go back to this being the Lord's career, you know, being God's career, and I put it in His hands, and that was from the beginning, from the very beginning of that, you know, with Say Amen, everything. It was so, you know, yeah.
Right. Now, you know, man, Howard, you got like countless platinum, gold selling I mean, like, just, you know, your accolades are just they're super long. But with all these accomplishments in the entertainment business, what would you say is your proudest moment, though?
Proudest moment in the business, because people say, "What is your proudest moment?" When they say in life, you know, what's the proudest thing? And that's always, you know, my kids. You know,
exactly.
My kids born and seeing them grow up and the whole thing. But there's so many different things, Kano. It's like when we, as far as like what we accomplished, you know, thank God, what we accomplished over in overseas. That was really important. That was like to see that develop and to see that come to fruition. That's something that we always, you know, I always talked about anyway, is having your base here, you know, your people that love you here and the whole thing, but also it transcending to, you know, over in the foreign markets and stuff.
Yeah.
And all that. So that was cool. I remember, okay, I'll tell you one. When, and this is funny because, you know, second time around was out, right?
Right.
And second time around was like, and Edna Collison, this lady, Edna Collison, was head of promotion and everything over at Solar. So she would always call me. She said, "Howard, it's gone to number 15 or whatever."
Right.
I said, "What?" You know, I said, "And just tell me when it's no." She would say that it sold this many copies or that many copies.
Right.
Just tell me when it's gold. You know, just tell me when it's gold. Tell me when it's #1 across the board when it's gold, right?
Right.
And so, like, you know, so then one day she calls, she says, "The single's gone gold. It's #1 across the board, blah, blah, blah. And so like, I was cool. I was good with that. That was a great accomplishment. But the highlight of that was for me to be able to get on the phone and call my mom, right?
Right.
My mom and dad, and say, I remember I called my mom and I said, Mom, I said, second time around is, going crazy and it's #1 across, Billboard, and it's #1 on R&R, #1 all over the place, and then my mom says, that's good, baby. She said, that's good. She said, but what is it in the jet?
I know that's right.
She said, I haven't seen it in the jet yet, so I'm like, wow, I was like, whoa, that's deep. That's really deep.
Yeah.
As soon as I got off the phone, I called Edna Collins and I said, look, you got to get this thing in the jet because my mom's not going to believe it. She ain't going to be satisfied.
Right. It's in the jet. Man, that's funny, man. I ain't going to lie.
I'm like bragging. It's #1 Billboard, #1.
Yeah.
He says, well,
Mama, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing, Howard, until it's in this jet right here.
Jet magazine. It's on my coffee table,
Yeah. That's dope, man. That is dope. Now, you also, you recorded, you did a Christmas album, and you also did a gospel album. Did you get any friction from that a little bit? Because you know how people are, man. They'd be like, oh yeah, now you want to record a gospel album, now you gospel now and all of this or whatever. After doing so much, you know how people are, man. They crazy.
I know. But see, the thing about that was like, every solo album that I've ever done, even before I did the gospel album, the Journey album. I don't really call it gospel. I call it inspirational music,
Right.
But every solo album that I've ever done has always had an inspirational song on it, and that's because of a promise that I made to the Lord, like, a couple years before I left Shalamar. Right. I remember praying the prayer. I said, Lord, when I'm by myself, when I'm responsible for what I say,
right.
And nobody, and I'm not saying that the other two members weren't, spiritual or whatever, but when you talk about a gospel thing or an inspirational thing, that's a personal statement that you're making.
Right.
And so like I promised God, I promised the Lord, I prayed, I said, I promise you that when I'm by myself, in other words, when I'm solo, I said, I promise that I will honor you on every project that I do,
Right.
And I remember going to when I first got, I was, rolled the contract out, right? And so I had a meeting. I went straight to Elektra. I went on to Elektra,
right?
Elektra Records, and so like it was funny because at the time that was not my first choice as far as record companies, because
right.
At the time they had the Eagles and somebody else, and I'm like, man, this I'm soulful, I'm soul,
Yeah.
But Elektra was the distribution company for Solar, right? And their agreement with Solar, the agreement that Solar and Elektra had, was that if anybody came off of that label, if a group left the label, or if somebody like myself, I'm leaving and get off the label, then Elektra had first rights or refusal of anything that came off of that label. In other words, if you had a deal, if you came off the label, you had to take your deal to them first, and then they either accept it or refuse it. If they refuse it, then you go on and try and make another deal.
Right. Right.
So like I said, Elektra wasn't my first choice. And I remember talking to my attorney, and I said, well, if they have first rights of refusal, I said, well, why don't we just make this deal so ridiculous, that they'll refuse it. They'll pass it up, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and so my attorney said, well, yeah, we could try that. That might be a good idea. So we put the money at a crazy level. We didn't try to get too crazy, but we put the money, the upfront money, in a crazy place. Then we had the incentive. You sell this many albums and it bumps up to this, and then this royalty bumps up to that royalty, and then you go and everything is paid retroactive, and then it get this one bumps up and this incentive bumped up. Then the second album would be this, and
Yeah.
just crazy, right? And so my attorney went into the meeting with them, and he said they were sitting there, and the guy Bob Krasnow was the cat that was head of Elektra at the time, and he says after he went over everything, he says, "Okay, what else you want?"
Are you serious? Hold up, Howard. Wow.
And so, like, you know, it was like, man, I said, oh man, you know, so I got a great deal, and
Right.
and Elektra was a good company, but I always said that being with Elektra was almost like driving a 12-cylinder car, but you're only running on 6 cylinders. You know what I mean? Because
so what do you mean by that? Like they didn't really support the projects as far as
they supported. They were amazing, as you can see. I'm for real. Show me.
Yeah.
Once, twice, 3 times. Say amen. All that stuff. They made Howard Hewett into a household name.
Absolutely.
In every black household across America.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Along with Shalamar, then they went from there. But the pop department never came to the party. And so that's why I look at the pop department being 6 cylinders, the R&B department being 6 cylinders. R&B department did their job to the utmost. Primus Robinson, Doug Daniel, all those cats over there, you know, Raoul Roach and everybody, they did their job to the utmost.
Right.
But the other side, they never came to the party. So, like, you know, it was driving a 12-cylinder car, but you putting along with 6 cylinders, you know. Right. So, you know, but it was, you know, it was. So when I left the group, I had to have a meeting with Elektra, my new management, the whole thing, and I remember going into the meeting, and I shook everybody's hand. I was really excited because, you know, this is my first solo album. It's something I would do forever. And so, like, I shook everybody's hands, and I sat down. I said, well, first of all, before we get started into this meeting, I said, I just want to say that I want to do a song to the Lord on this album.
Right.
And this is 1985, Kano.
Right.
Ain't nobody ever did. I'm, you know, like Niecy would do a gospel album, but then she'd do an R&B album. Mm-hmm. You know, as an R&B. I was combining the two, doing an inspirational song on an R&B album. Got you. Yeah. As part of the R&B album. So, man, when I said that, man, you could hear a pin drop. It was like they were sitting there, and then the one guy starts talking, and he says, "Well, you know, Howard, we want to take your career in the sex symbol direction. Might not be conducive to, you know, gospel music, religious music, and blah 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 blah." Then this other guy starts talking, and then my management, because I hadn't even really talked to them about it either, right? So they start talking. So, you know, just like some years ago when with Jeffrey Bowen, and then when they start talking, I kind of just sat back, right, listening to what they're saying, and you know, all the time in my head, I'm like, you know, praying, okay, Lord, you know, how are we gonna do this? What's happening? I want these people to be excited about, you know, doing my first record. So I don't want to put them off. But what am I, you know? So, like, when they got done, I said, well, I hear you, you know. And I said, And I said, I understand you too, you know, because like I said, this was 85 or so. And I said, but maybe I just approached this the wrong way. I said, let me go back, you know, let me go back and let me approach it like this. I'm going to do a song to the Lord on this album because that's a promise that I made to him, you know, and my promise to him is more important to me than your concept of where, you know, this career should go, because without him, you know, I said, let's get this straight first. Without him, there would be no career.
Wow,
So,
you told him that?
Yeah, I went there. I went right there with them, right?
Right.
And they couldn't say nothing. They couldn't say anything. So I said, okay, now let's talk about everything else, right?
Right.
And man, when I went after, you know, long story short, fast forward, once, you know, Say Amen did, you know, what it did, and through the years, then it was everybody's idea. And I remember I used to always sit and with Bob Krasnow and talk about, you know, when I would do a project, before I start doing a project, he and I would sit on the phone or sorry about that. We sit on the phone and talk about the direction of the next album, you know.
Right.
And at the end of every, almost at the end of every conversation we had, I think I did 5 albums with the lecturer. And at the end of every conversation, he would say, well, I know you're going to do another one of those God songs on the album, right? And I said,
yeah, I am.
I said, yeah, Bob, I'm going to do another God song on the album, definitely.
Wow. Now, you know, what was you got an opportunity to work with the great late Tina Marie, and that song, man.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Like, what was she like?
Oh man, Tina had more soul in her little finger than a whole bunch of sisters out there that are singing that are singing R&B type of thing. This girl was amazing. But you know, I Tina and I went way back with each other. When she first came on the scene with Rick, you know, and we would do shows. Shalamar would do shows, and she would be on the show with us and stuff. So we got to be friends. We got to be really good friends before, and then, you know, even tighter towards the last 2 or 3 years of her life, you know. And it was working with her was just amazing. I mean, the way we played off of each other, and you know, and it was crazy because I remember we sat on the phone after that album had come out, and we had talked about the tune that we did being the single, but then they put the single out with her and Faith, I think it was. I think that was the first single, and then I don't know if they came out with a second single. If they did, it wasn't the single that we did, you know. And I was like, you know, I was telling her all the time, and other people, you know, program directors, everybody was saying, hey man, you know, this single, you would duet with you and Howard, was like amazing. But they didn't come with it, right? And so we were sitting on the phone after that album was over with, and she was starting to piece together her next album. And she called me. She said, "I want to do another duet with you." I said, "Hey, babe, I'd love to do it." I said, "But we need to get the business straight so that it will definitely be, you know, it will depend on the song. Bottom line." I said, "But if we do something that's serious kicking, that it will be definitely the first or the second single. You know, we got to add that, you know, in writing." And she said, "Yeah, we can do that. We can do that." And then about 3 weeks later, my manager calls me, because he managed her also in the last part of her life. And he calls me and told me she passed away. And it was just devastating to me. It was crazy. You know? But you talking about talent, man. This lady, this little, she only stood like this tall, you
Come
know,
on.
and, and just was powerful, powerful, powerful. And I would just love to hear her, you know, and her vibrato just would kill me all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And she had an amazing, amazing instrument.
I wanna show you a couple pictures, and you tell me what come to mind when you see these pictures.
Mm-hmm. Hair. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's, you know, that was the Look album. That was on the Look album. And I mean, the Look album had some amazing, amazing stuff. Dead Giveaway was on there. There was a tune called You're the One for Me on there, and so much stuff on there that was like amazing. But we broke up.
Yeah.
When, you know, as far as like, you know, in the beginning, towards the beginning of that album, and the record company couldn't figure out their way, you know, to promote it, because I admitted, Jeff, like I said, Jeff and Jody split. I was the only one in Shalamar at the time. So like, you know, but Jeffrey, with that, what I look at is like, because at that time we had been spending a lot of time over in the UK, and so there was a lot of influence. There was a lot of you know, keyboard influence, all that kind of stuff, and the whole thing. And Dead Giveaway, a lot of people don't know, but Dead Giveaway was Dead Giveaway and Michael Jackson, I forget what song it was, were the only two black videos that they were showing on MTV.
Yeah.
So Dead Giveaway broke a lot of ground. And that's what I tell people. It's like, and when I went to England, that's what I was going to say. We went to England to do some promotion on the Look album, on Dead Giveaway. In fact, we shot the Dead Giveaway video over in England, in London. And when we got over there, I hadn't seen Jeff in like, you know, about a month.
Yeah.
And like, we had this dinner. We had to do this dinner, and I'm sitting there with some people from the record company. I think Jody's there too. And Jeff walks in with this hairdo, with his hair thing, because last time I saw Jeff, he had this big old afro, right? But he had that hairdo right there. And I started laughing, right?
Yeah.
And I said, but I looked at him. I said, dude, I said, that could work. That could seriously work.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was about, you know, really, to me, it was about innovating and growing and the whole thing. And what we were getting ready to jump up on a plateau that was going to be amazing. That was going to, whatever we were there at that point, you know, it was getting ready to jump up into another stratosphere. And but the record company couldn't get their feet solid, you know, to deal with the breakup, which is, you know, I guess it would be kind of difficult to figure it out. But
that was big. That really touched the world.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It really did. Like, it, you know, I couldn't even believe that. You know, because I mean, when something's working, it's like, because we don't know the behind the scenes stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't. Well, all we know is what we see and what we hear, and it's like, man, it's amazing. We don't ever want it to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then it stopped, and you're like, wait a minute, stop for what? Like, what's going on? How are they having fun?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, I always looked at it as like a book. You're reading this book, and you're into the book, you know, and like, you have the last couple of chapters, 2 chapters or whatever, and then you're on the plane, you're reading, and you're on the plane, you put the book in the thing in front of you, and then you land and you get up and you forget the book, and you don't, and it's like, I didn't finish it. I didn't finish the book. And that's how Shalamar still is to me. It's like an unfinished book, you know, although although we've carved out an amazing niche for ourselves overseas. You know, me and Jeffrey and Carolyn Griffey, and you know, a lot of people when I do interviews and stuff, they say, "Oh, well, Carolyn is doing the Jody Watley parts," and I say, "No. Carolyn is doing the Carolyn Griffey parts. She took those parts and made them her own situation." And what we do over there as a tribute to the group, to Shalamar, is amazing. It's really an amazing show. I would love to bring it over here, you know, but there's a lot of red tape, a lot of craziness to do over here. So we just stay over there with Shalamar. I do my thing here.
You know? Hey man, you and you're doing well, man. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever think that the business would because it kind of seems like I don't know, man, in this business it gets tricky, and you know, sometimes the stories don't end well for a lot of the greats or whatever, you know, not to go too deep into it or whatever, but like I say, you're a legend. You've been in this game for years, and I feel like you found a way to go around certain things, and you know, do you ever think that the industry would ever just be fully for the artists and really do the artist right, or would you say that it's just a matter of taking care of your business and really understanding? But when you come in and you grab them young like that, you don't really know, you're just kind of having fun, and then millions and millions of dollars later and albums sold later, when you wisen up and figure some things out or whatever, it's kind of too late at that point. Do you ever think that that formula would ever change?
Oh man, it's like we've kicked the can down the road, I think a little bit too far sometimes in order to come back from it. Now it's more about, especially an artist like myself, it's more about the independent situation, you know, because I'm never gonna get the type of deal that I would want, you know, from a major record company. They just can't do it. Sometimes, you know, I understand it if you're a new artist as far as that's concerned, because, you know, they put all this money into it. And then, you know, I think the classic story in the business for everybody has always been the TLC story, you know, where TLC is selling 10 million albums, and then they're, you know, they get their thing and they ain't got no money, you know. But see, the record companies never give you anything.
Absolutely.
They don't give you anything. So when that limo comes and picks you up, you know, the bill for that limo is going to be on your recoup bill. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the studio and you record this stuff, these albums, and you decide that you want to cater the studio for everybody, that catering bill will be on your recoupment situation, your recoupment statement. You know, it's like, so, and when you're recouping at a lower than a 10% rate, you know, you're never gonna pay that money back. You're always gonna be in debt. You're always gonna be but see, the thing is that I look at that. I don't look at that as the record company's situation, you know, because the record company's attorneys, their main job is to keep as much money on their side of the table as possible. So, but that means that you have to get an attorney whose main job is to keep as much
money on your side. I like how you put that out.
So like, you know, I don't really look at it as LaFace's situation with the TLC. I look at it as, you know, TLC didn't have the right type of representation, you know, to go in there and really fight for them and really, you know, because the leverage that they had, especially after that first album and stuff, you know, was phenomenal. phenomenal. I mean, they had so much leverage to go in there and just get the sweetest deal they could get. But I don't know who they had represented. I don't know, or I don't know the particulars of everything. But all we see, like you said, all we see is like, what's in the tabloids or whatever,
Right. Right.
But now for me as an artist, my thing is like an independent situation, because I mean, you can't make a whole lot of money on record sales now anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
The main thing now is about branding, broadening your brand, your personal appearances, because I'm a performing artist. That's I've been a performing artist since I was 10 years old. So that's what I do. My thing is about personal appearances, and then putting a record out here. But I put a record out in order to fuel all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I have I had the thing up. It's not up anymore. But my hat line. I have a hat line that I'm doing now, and I think they gave you guys the information on it. And and different kind of stuff. As far as like other type of brands, other type of ways to brand your to enhance your brand. So
right.
Yeah.
So, I want to touch on COVID before we close out. I want to talk about, just to get your take on how it may have impacted you personally, and your brands, and being able to move around and do a lot of things that you would normally be able to do, and ways that you have found a way to still be able to keep the brand alive.
Well, I mean, this is something that nobody saw coming. I mean,
Right.
Nobody saw it coming. I remember back in like January, I had cleared everything out of January, because January was pretty much traditionally a slow month anyway. So I had to have this little minor operation on my right foot, and I kept putting it off because I was on the road. So I told my manager, I said, look, January, I need to do this, get it done so I can get it over with. And we'll start back in February, right? So January, I had this thing done January 8th. And then I was back, on the road. I was back to work February 7th, right?
Right.
And so it was like February 7th, I was in Sarasota, Florida. Then the 8th, I had a thing and back here in LA. I flew back here to LA the next day and did this thing at this for these people pre-Valentine's thing. And then I had another gig the next weekend in Longview, Texas, right? But during this time, towards the end of January, the beginning of February, I started hearing this, stuff on TV, watching the news and all that. They're talking about this virus, right?
Right.
So like, I'm like, what's happening? And so the schedule was, because I was booked all the way to the end of the year. I was booked all the way till now. I would have been starting to take my vacation now. And so like, but I was supposed to go to England. We had finally got, I was taking the solo show, my solo show into England for 2 days, right?
Right.
And so I was supposed to leave for England on March 3rd and get there March 4th, chill March the 5th, do a show on the 6th, do another show on the 7th, and come back home on the 8th, right? So I'm back in February, like towards the middle of February, beginning of February, I'm starting to hear about, this virus. I'm looking, and the only sure thing that I saw on these people's faces was their unsurety about what was happening.
Right.
and so like, and they were talking about the only definite thing they were saying was that this is a virus, incubation period 7 to 14 days.
Right.
So like I told my manager, I said, about in February, I said, man, I'm not feeling comfortable about this. He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, in about, 2 weeks, I'm supposed to jump on a 10.5 hour flight, going
Right.
to England, stay in England for 5 days, come another 10.5 hour flight back home. And that's within this 7 to 14 day incubation period. I said, I could be potentially spreading something around here, and not spreading something around for almost 10 days and not even know it, right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, he said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, well, what I think we should do is talk to these people in England. The shows were sold out, so they were solid,
Mm-hmm.
I said, to talk to them, tell them, everybody keep their tickets and all that, and we'll put this thing a little further into the year when we can have a little bit better idea of what's going on, right?
Right.
So he says, well, it's like, nobody's changing any dates. Nobody is postponing anything. I might have because this was before this whole thing hit the fan, right?
Right.
And so, man, I'm gonna tell you, like I said earlier in this interview, my mom passed away in like 92, right?
Right.
But man, Kano, I could hear my mom so clear in my head.
Right.
When my manager said that, he said, nobody else is doing this, nobody else is doing that. I could hear my mom so clear in my head. When I was a kid, she used to always say, so if one of your friends go jump off a bridge, you're going to go jump off a bridge, right?
Right.
I bust out laughing. I mean, it was like you and me talking right now. I could hear it, right?
Right.
And so I laughed. I told my manager, I said, no, I said, I'm doing this because of my responsibility to the people around me, my family. I'm not doing it because of what anybody else is doing. And then like about 4 days later, 5 days later, everything hit the fan anyway, and it was gone. But I think that it's it was a time to kind of get into yourself. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
mean, this is the longest that I've been off the road in 40 years, literally in 40 years. And like my daughter had said when we were about 3 or 4 months into it, she said, well, Dad, didn't you say that a little while ago last year sometime you wanted to take a break? I said, yeah, I didn't want to take this long of a break.
I know.
But but it's like, unless something happened to made me sit down and get into certain things, other things. Like I said, I'm putting together my book, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but mainly get into what Howard's about as far as certain things are concerned. You kind of sometimes you can get lost in what you do. And I've been doing what I do for so long that, it's like, okay, it's time for me to find, what I'm about, what I dig, I'm blessed to do my livelihood, the way I take care of my family, my responsibilities, my livelihood, everything is I take care of that by doing something that I love, but you can still get caught up in it. And like, and so like, you take the time, it gave me a time to sit back, get closer to God, get closer to God. I started a thing at the beginning of this whole situation where I said, I've read the Bible, in my lifetime, but it's been a long time, years and years. So I said, okay, I'm going to start from Genesis, and I'm just going to go every morning, spend time with me and the Lord. That's like, that's what the deal is. And Debbie Ula says, yeah, COVID put us all on timeout. Yeah, it's like God said, hey, go to your rooms, go to your rooms,
Right.
think about what you're doing, and some people are still out going, acting crazy, but like, but doing that, getting closer to God, getting closer to who you are as inside,
Right.
as far as that's concerned, because you're giving so much all the time. Sometimes it's like, okay, what am I getting? How can I get something back from me?
Right.
And this is that time that it's been able. I started doing these shut-in mini concert series.
Yeah.
On my Facebook fan page.
Yeah, you popping on Facebook. I see you over there popping over there.
I know, man. People talk about go to Instagram, but hey, my people are over at Facebook, man.
Right.
It's like, and like, so, but I'll do some stuff over here on Instagram and stuff. Start getting on. I still have about, 40,000 followers over on Instagram over
Right.
here. But we'll put a campaign together to try and, raise that up a little bit. But I started doing these because the thing was like, we're all set in. We're all in this together. We're all shut in together. And I just wanted to give something back, to my people that have been following me and supporting me for all these years.
Right.
So I started this shut-in mini concert series. Never charged anything. Last week was the first time I ever put my Cash App up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Right.
Venmo last week, because I was doing an interview with some people. They say, well, you got to do that. And everybody all along was saying how you monetize this, how you monetize that. And like, but Cash App and the Venmo thing, putting it up, to me, that was cool because, you can donate or not.
Right.
I'm not saying if you feel up to your spirit leads you, boom, hit it, But last week was the first time since March that I put the Cash App up, so.
Right.
And then I started doing, because the thing about this virus is that you learned early is that it thrived on low immune systems,
Right.
vitamin D deficiencies, and if you don't keep yourself fit. So, I've always kept myself kind of fit, on the road, blah, blah, blah. But then I started doing, start every day. Like I first started riding my bike, and then one time I was riding my bike, and and I stopped for a minute. I decided, well, let me go on live. I was out somewhere, out in the neighborhood or whatever. I said, let me go on live, right? And when I went on live, all these people flooded into the thing, and I'm like, wow, okay. So I started doing what I call now fresh air, cardio, conversation, ... and life walks, right?
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and so like, we hit a bunch of people come on almost every day. I get out there because I'll do this one, there's one route that takes me about 3.5, 4 miles or whatever. And I'm doing a power walk. I just started incorporating where I stop walking and just take time and really talk and see what they're talking about. Because as I'm walking, if I'm doing the power walk, I'm the only one talking basically, because, I can't look and see what they're saying. But
Right.
like, we do that every day and basically every day, and, get some vitamin D with the sunshine and all that. So, it's been real cool. And like I said, putting together this whole thing as far as book about my life, and I've talked to my sisters, because they were experiencing it with me back in the
Right.
day.
Right.
So get their perspective on stuff, and it's you try and figure out what it's all about as far as you're concerned. And I hope that it adds once we get, everything opens back up. I hope it adds some personal situations to the personal appearances and stuff, because people
Right.
have been with you all this time, insight on my life that, you know, I would never really get into on stage or get into in certain other areas. So, you know, Valerie Barber, she's on the walks every day, you know, so it's cool.
What can we look forward to whenever things do open back up, Howard? Like anything that you got in the works that we can look forward to?
Yeah, I'm putting together, you know, there were some songs that I did with my son even before COVID, you know, that he and I are exploring a little bit more, and some other stuff, and some other tunes that I put together even before. I'm the creative mood as far as writing. Everybody says, "Have you been writing?" You know, during this time. My thing is like, I write love songs. My whole thing is I don't write a lot of music. You know, I collaborate with people as far as the basic music is concerned. But my thing is lyrics and melodies and lyrics. And so I write, you know, once, twice, three times a love song. Show Me, a love song. You know,
Right.
I'm for real, a love song. You know, they even say Amen's a love song. God and man. And, you know, but this is like, you know, this I've been in the most uncreative mood this whole thing as far as lyrically is concerned, because I write love songs. And you know, this isn't conducive for me anyway to
Right.
write love songs. I mean, when I write love in COVID-19, I
I
don't know.
know, right?
So I'm kind of getting, you know, turning that corner as far as that's concerned. And, you know, but yeah, I've never been a fast food writer anyway.
Right.
I write from what I feel, you know,
Right.
and it's worked well for me through the years. So I'm not going to push it, you know, if it's
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want you to do it your way, Hal, because that's when we get the best, you know, when you do it your way. Now,
yeah.
let's get some shout outs before we get out of here. Anybody you want to get a flowers? There's a lot of people on here showing love. You want to shout them out? Anybody you want to shout out? Family,
Well,
friends, fans?
all the people, everybody that joins me on the walks, I'm shouting out to you guys. That's Debbie Ula and Miss Barber and all everybody. We have a good time. We have a good time. We talk a lot. You know, lately, you know, it's been all about politics
Right.
and you know, especially now with this vaccine that's coming out, you know, and people have their opinions and stuff about that. And I know. But you know, we talk about all kind of stuff. But you know, do shout out to my sisters, Anita, and then Carol and Joanne, Adele, my brother Jeff, you know, just everybody, my kids, you know, grandkids.
Right. They on here heavy. Man, I gotta tell you from the bottom of my heart though, how much this interview meant to me, man. I'm really, really grateful and thankful again. And for me and the team, we just want to wish you more blessings and more success with everything that you're doing right now, and all the amazing things you're gonna be doing in the future as well. And you know, you got a home, you can come back on the Vibe Show. We got to promote the book. I gotta get with you in conjunction with the caps and stuff like that, so we can get some commercials going for that developed, and we can start pushing those out or whatever, bring more awareness. And when are you doing what you do on Facebook? Put that out there, the days that you're doing that or whatever for people.
Well, I call it FACC ... and life walks. We do that. I do that basically every day, you know,
Okay.
Monday through Friday, at a certain time, anytime between, you know, 11 o'clock, maybe 11:30 sometimes, depending on what happens here at the crib before I leave. But the mini concert, shut in mini concert series I do on Fridays at 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock West Coast time, 9 o'clock East Coast time, everything else in between, and all my people overseas and all that kind of stuff. And you know, that's on Facebook.com/Howard Hewett fan page. So that's the Facebook page. On the Instagram, my Instagram page is Howard_Hewett,
Right.
Hewett, and I'm emphasizing Howard_Hewett because there are so many perpetrators on there.
Sure is, man.
And I mean, it's crazy, Kano. It's like, you know, and Instagram, for some reason, you know, I got my official verification code on Twitter. I got my official verification code on Facebook, on the fan page. But for some reason, Instagram won't give me my verification code over here. And one of the main reasons why I want that is so that I can shut down some of those detrimental, because there's some perpetrators out there, you know, that are just like, you know, they're predators,
right?
You know, they're predators, and they're, you know, they see, you know. But I tell a lot of especially the female followers, you know, you got to be savvy, and if you're dealing on the internet, you know, you got to look between the lines, you know, and if somebody approaches you and they're saying that it's Howard Hewett, then look at their views. If you got somebody on there and they're approaching you and they got 5 people that are following them, and all that kind of stuff, that's more than likely not Howard Hewett. Okay.
Howard be cracking me up, man. So I didn't know you was this funny. Howard, no, man. And Leanne told me that, man, but I was like, man, I gotta see myself. Man, you are the bomb, man. Seriously, man.
But it's that Howard_Hewett, and then the Twitter page is Just a Vocalist. JUSTAVOCALIST. Just a Vocalist. I got that. I put that on there when Twitter first came out, before everybody was saying you got to put your name on there. Put your name on there.
Right.
George Duke, who was a dear friend of mine, he used to always tell me, say, "Hey, Howie, I'm just a piano player." Right.
Right.
And so, like, that's where I got that Just a Vocalist from. Yeah.
Wow. Now, thank y'all to everybody that was on here, showing my special guests so much love, man. Y'all are the absolute truth, man, and the reason why we do this. For anybody, Howard, who, because it has been a rough year. Anybody who may be low in spirit, you know, with so much going on, people out of jobs, lost loved ones, just dealing with so much this year. Can you give them some words of uplift and encouragement before we get out of here?
You know, it's a difficult thing. This is a place where we've never been before. You know, we've never been here before. Like the old folks back in the day used to say, I ain't never seen the likes of such, you know.
Right.
And but we always have to understand, you know, that we're not in Donald Trump's plan. We're not in, you know, Miss McConnell's plan. We're not in COVID-19's plan. We're in God's plan. And we always need to remember that. We always need to know, and I know that sometimes it's easier said than done, you know, but you got to start doing it. It's like, you know, you have to start putting your faith where your faith is going to do the most good, and that's in God, Christ, the Holy Spirit. And like, you know, what does it say where the faith is? In the word, it says, faith, you walk by faith, not by sight.
Right.
And so, like, you know, it has to be, you know, there's a scripture, and I was talking on the FACC walk the other day, and, you know, I just started talking about favorite scriptures, and I have people, you know, send in their favorite scriptures. Well, one of my favorite scriptures, I wear it around my neck all the time, is Isaiah 57:14, and it says, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper."
Wow.
No weapon formed. Listen to that. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Now, I love that scripture, but I love what it doesn't say too. And what it doesn't say that no weapon will be formed against you. So
right.
there, in my lifetime, in my career, there have been so many weapons formed against me, but I don't pay any attention because no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's a promise. He says that. I wear this all the time. No weapons is on this nail, right?
Right.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper. No, nothing.
Right.
They can throw this, they can throw that. COVID can come in, try and put you down. The thing about it is, like, you know, Satan, the enemy, he's a liar. He's incapable of telling the truth. He
Right.
can't tell the truth. It's impossible for him to tell the truth. So if somebody's telling you this is going to take you down, this is going to take you down, that's not God. That's the enemy. And if the enemy is saying it, that means it's a lie.
Right.
So, like, you know, you have to look at this stuff like this. This is not, people say, well, this and that, blah blah blah. But it's like, this is not hocus pocus. This is the real deal. This is
Right.
what the deal is. And you have to, like, grab onto that. You got to grasp onto that. These are times that we have never seen before in our lives. So we have to grab on to what we know is real, which is God, Christ,
Right.
Holy Spirit. And and just be strong. Just be strong, y'all. We will get through this. I know people are talking about, the vaccine and all that. I mean, I started taking the flu shot like about 9, 10 years ago.
Right.
But it took me 10 years to take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's done well for me, because I'm in so many different climates and planes and this country, that country. So it's done well for me for the last 9 or 10 years. And unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of sitting and checking out, this vaccine for the next 9 or 10 years,
Right.
because we have to get something that's going to get us to a point. We can't keep closing and opening and closing and opening. That's not what the deal is. We can't do that. We can't. And the only way, this is the first time, as far as this election back in November was concerned, every election basically that I had participated in since I've been, eligible at age to vote, has always been about, well, they'd say, well, what is this about? What is it about now? And it's always been about the economy. They say it's the economy, stupid. That's what
Right.
they say. But this is the first year that I can remember where it's been about the virus, because
Mm-hmm.
cannot get the economy together until we get this virus under control. And I can't even say, as far as like this administration that's, thank God, leaving, uh, I can't say that it was because of, I don't blame Trump for this whole thing, because
Right.
nobody knew what the deal was. But I can't even say that his lack of leadership, in this whole situation was, was because of where we are now.
Right.
But I can't even say lack of leadership. It was his absence of leadership.
Mm.
Absence of leadership. We still have no plan, nothing,
Right.
no plan. But now everybody's looking at this vaccine. But we have to be really, it's like, you look at something, before that you let them shoot it in your arm. But with all the percentages of the high percentages of efficacy and the whole thing, uh, it's hope is very, very hopeful. And it's something that, I've always believed that if you tear away all the bureaucracy and the red tape and the money taken out of it between the FDA and the CDC and all that stuff.
Right.
It is possible to develop something a lot quicker than it has been in the past.
Right.
But not when you only got 2 months of data.
Exactly.
That's a little bit too quick. But hey, we still got to kick back and look at it and check it out. There will be people that will take it right away. That's great. That's cool. You shouldn't, if you feel like you're one of those people, you shouldn't feel bad about it, because it's like, that's just the way it is. Tanya Dion says, still absent. Yep, still absent.
Right.
Exactly. But it's like, it's what I would say. What I say to to people that are listening, praise God. That's every day that you wake up. It's another day that you have been blessed with to get this thing right, to get it on the right track, to get everything happening.
Right.
And I look at the future, and the future to me is bright, because we have had a chance to kind of, reset some things.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's important. That's real important, so. Man, I hope I haven't talked too much for you.
Listen,
man.
Howard, look, what I was about to tell you, I just want to tell you again, I want to give you your flowers while you're here, man. I just want to thank you again for just blessing us all these years, man. Like, I just think that you're really a great human being, and I'm just grateful just to be able to even have this conversation to you. Shout out to our sponsor, Grown and Sexy Music, for making this magic happen. And I just want to thank you again for my team as well, because I know that they've all been excited. And again, to everybody who this ride today, I just want to thank y'all right now while everybody's still on there. They roll with us all the way, Howard. That's loyalty for you, brother. That's love, man. To still get that love after all these years, man, it's just really amazing, man. So shout out to everybody who rode this whole ride with us. It's truly a blessing, and we can't wait to get you back on here again too. Seriously, this has been truly amazing, man.
Man, it's my honor, and I'm looking forward to getting back on here with the book. It says my life ... so far.
When when you think we got a date or anything or what?
Not yet, man. I don't, I take my time doing stuff. Some people say I procrastinate, but I like to think of it as like I'm just creatively putting it all together.
Right, absolutely. That's the best. That's the best time. That's the best way.
Yeah, because you don't make. There's so much. They did an unsung. They did an unsung episode on Shalamar, but then they did an unsung episode on myself, on Howard Hewett also, and they I think they did a pretty good job, but it was like trying to take 50 years, because they started from time I was like 10 years old, right? So trying to put 50 years into 48 minutes, and
you can't do it, Howard.
Yeah, it's like good to have something documenting, something. That's what I believe this book is good for, because we don't know how much time, the Lord is going to bless us with and stuff. And I want to make sure that there's a record here of my life from my perspective, because that's where you're going to get the truth from.
Absolutely.
And it's just like with the unsung thing. It's like, I told him, if I do it, I got to tell the truth. I got to tell the truth and sit up, and I didn't know they were going to get as truthful.
They did.
There's one shot, and I don't know if I'll say it to you, listen, whatever, but y'all know me. Y'all know me. And, because there's one shot in that unsung thing where I'm sitting on my couch, and there's a cat standing over me. I'm sitting on my couch with a joint hanging out my mouth. So they got real on that.
Yeah. But you know what though, Howard, man? I mean, man, that was that time, man. It was, you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
You know, we grow, man. Like we go through those experiences, man, and just think of how amazing your life has been. And I think the book is going to be important because, like you said, in order to really get the truth, we have to get it from you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not other people, because it's going to be other people's version of it at that point. Right. So it is going to be vital for you to put the book out, and I'm super excited about it, and I'm going to be right there to promote it like crazy. We're going to be on it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that because it's gonna, it'll be about my life, about my philosophies as far as life is concerned, and things that have gotten me from point A to point B, point C, will get me all the way through the X, Y, and Z, and to share with everybody and to document, have a record of it. That's so important, and
I just want my copy autographed though.
Of course, you got it.
For real.
You got it. Definitely.
I love you, my brother. Man, you're a king amongst kings. You're our king. And man, we continuing to root for you. Like I said, you got our support. 1,000. I'll be getting with you off air though to see in different areas where we can help with as far as with the caps and with your brand as far as commercials and different things that we could do on our end as well. So we're gonna get with Leanne and we're gonna get connected and make it happen.
Cool. Good.
Love you, man.
Everybody helping everybody. That's what it's all
about. Absolutely. Love you, my brother, man. Everybody out there, I love y'all. Y'all continue to stay masked up, stay safe. Y'all pick up gems that Howard has dropped on us, man. Nothing but a bunch of gems. Y'all go back and do the replay and pick up those gems if you missed those gems. Make sure if you are not subscribed to the Vibe Show official radio station website, you guys make sure that you go and log on. You can subscribe. Let's see if we can get it up right there. Follow our official radio station website. That's www.thevibeshow979.net. You can hear some of that Howard Hewett. We got it in rotation over there. Y'all go over there, rush over there and get connected over there as well. Also, you can go over to the App Store and get the Vibe Show 97.9 exclusive mobile app. Yes, we are in the App Store. We're moving up in the world like George and Wheezy. Go download that exclusive Vibe Show 97.9 exclusive app. Also, if you are not subscribed to the Vibe Show 97.9 YouTube channel, please, we would really be gracious just love for you guys to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and we got more exclusive legendary interviews coming up. Shout out to the one and only Howard Hewett.
Let me say one more thing before we go. I want to do a shout out. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters in Georgia. We got this situation coming up. It's in your hands. We can level this playing field as far as this whole situation is concerned. The runoff between Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff and their opponents. The election is January 5th. Get out there, get registered, get out there. Let's show up and show out just Absolutely. Like you did back in November. Because we flipped the state, so now we got a chance to flip the Senate. So
Absolutely,
Kentucky wasn't able to get Mitch McConnell out of there because he's just as dangerous as Trump is. But they weren't able to get him out of there. But we are able, on January 5th, Georgia is able to cut his legs off. So, let's do that. And shout out to all y'all out there. Do the thing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Shout out to our sponsor once again, Grown Sexy Music. Again, thank you so much for making this magic happen. Again, we love y'all. You guys make sure y'all continue to be safe, stay prayed up, and all will be well. It's the Vibe Show 97.9 with my special guest, legend, King the one and only, my brother, Uncle Howard Hewett.
Peace.
Love y'all. We out.
God bless.